All right, final check of our cage side officials. Your referee, UFC fighter, Michigan amateur and professional, Darren Cruikshank. And Fabio waiting right in and bringing heavy shots.
Right down the center, too, which was nice.
A little lazy with that knee, though, Kara. He got it caught and got himself stuck to the mat, but doing a great job getting it back to his feet now. This guy's working the clinch pretty hard here. Slowing down a little. That knee right up the center rocked Fabio a little bit. You can see on his face he's not loving it.
But look at the concentration. I mean, he didn't react till someone could react. He's been hit twice low, so he's doing a great job.
I think he's absolutely overwhelmed Chris Lee Byrne at this point. And Chris needs to get settled in. You know, and they're both listed at 5'10". One of them's lying. Chris trying to work that guillotine now on the cage floor, but right in Fabio's corner getting solid advice from World Grappling Champion, Naga Champion, Don Richard, telling Fabio now grab the hands, get on the gloves, and now the head's coming out.
And what a difference. You know, he was working on the elbow, heard his corner say, get on the hand. What a difference. We see some blood coming out. Not too sure who it's coming from. Think Fabio's mouth.
It's either coming from his mouth or his nose. I think he got clipped a little bit there in that exchange. Might even have been a head. But now you're going to see some solid groundwork from the Gracie Barra camp there. Chris Lee Byrne going to do a good job of stalemating this fight. Now looking to transition. Got to make sure he controls that head so he doesn't eat some leather. Good hip movement. Doing a good job keeping himself off of the cage side. A little bit of rape choke action there from Fabio on the top right now. Posting up, getting those knees nice and high though. Oh, transition into an armbar. Very, very tasty. I think that elbow slipped through though, Kara.
You know, but Fabio doing such a good job at being busy.
He did a good job of turning his shoulder back through though, but exposed his arm again momentarily. And now at this point, I'll tell you that Chris just needs to reset and go back at it again.
You know, Fabio was doing a great job of using the cage as well, pushing off, getting some base from it when he was on top of Chris.
Fabio already looks fatigued though, Kara. I wonder how heavy his cut was. Well, did you guys get a chance to talk about that?
You know, he didn't say too much about the cut. Usually the guys will let you know that they almost died getting there. They can barely fill out sheets. But the thing is, you have to learn to breathe in there. You can be in the best shape of your life. If you don't know how to breathe when you fight, it'll take everything out of you.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, this Chris Byrne has got a really aggressive and active guard from the bottom. Nice hips and transitions. He's keeping Fabio either in trouble or completely neutralized at this point. Fabio's got to be careful he doesn't get swept here to his left with that elbow pinned in the half guard on that side.
You know, but a great, as you said earlier, he's in his own corner, so he's able to get instructions from his team from Mash Gym, and that's always helpful.
Got his hips pulled up a little bit high and loaded up there, but avoided the sweep yet again. 10 seconds as this first round comes to a close, and this is going to be a tough one to score under the ABC rules of scoring. Striking and grappling are weighted evenly, but the mentality of most judges is that damage still scores first. And as solid as Chris was on the ground, he just didn't get any leather off.
No, but I think he surprised us because it looked like Fabio was coming out and was able to mitigate some of the damage that Fabio tried to pull. I mean, Fabio throwing a lot of shots from the top. He was going body, head. He was trying to mix it up. But Chris was able to make sure that barely any damage was done.
And beyond that, he sort of had Fabio on the tilt-a-whirl the whole time. All Fabio could do is ride it out and not give up something because the transitions were so smooth. As we go into round two, he's got to keep his hips lower, yet still keep weight on Fabio and prevent those transitions. And if he's got him on his back like that, he's got to turn him cage side to lock up those shoulders and prevent that from happening.
Now, I wouldn't be surprised Fabio coming out again with some punching because he does have that Muay Thai background, which is why he kind of ran in a little bit when he was throwing those punches instead of having a solid base. You know, a lot of times they're used to switching, pull up some knees. But let's see if he can let some leather go without standing there for the takedown.
Absolutely. If he's going to throw those knees, they have to be with ill intent, not just sticking it out there. And you can see the pace of this a little bit slower this time.
Oh, good right hand by Chris. Another right hand, and Fabio's just getting tattooed. He goes into the clinch and tries to drop. That would be a good time for knees if he could have got that up the middle.
Again, as they came up there, you saw the heads collide. Well, Fabio now, again, he just looks so fatigued.
Yeah, and again, that could be an adrenaline dump, it could be weight cut, or just not breathing properly.
Finally starting to get the better of the Canadian here on the cage side. But I'll tell you what, he's throwing wild rights, Chris Byrne is, but they're connecting.
Completely. You know, and you saw a knee up the middle, and Chris actually, he caught Fabio in the head, but he's starting to look fatigued. I think he's using the cage more as like someplace to lay down.
He looks absolutely exhausted at this point, Kara.
I don't know, maybe neither of them were ready for the pace because they're just non-stop with each other. You know, and that comes from sometimes you're drilling too much and maybe not drilling hard, going through the motions. You got to be able to work at a high pace so that it's easy once you get into the cage to fight.
We got to keep in mind too that these are both relatively new fighters, and if you forget to breathe for even a couple of seconds, you never catch up with that oxygen deprivation.
It's like hitting him with a body shot or a low blow. You know, it's hard to peel that back. But you know what? You see pro fighters that don't learn the breathing game and they fatigue out in fights.
So I've always admired boxers because that's one of the things that is just absolutely beat into them at all levels. You don't see it as much from the wrestler or the stand-up, the Muay Thai background.
And I think because for boxing, you're continuous, whereas sometimes in MMA, maybe in wrestling, you can rest for a minute. It's a different type of rest, but you get that chance to take a deep breath. And you can see them trying to administer some punching, but there's no punching power left. It's like patty cake.
Yeah, wrestlers forget to breathe not because of how they train, but because they just aren't used to getting clipped.
Right.
And the minute they get hit, it's like getting dumped into cold water for them. They take that breath and hold it, and then that's it. This is getting to the boring section of the second round here right now. Well, I say that, and these guys started looking like rock'em sock'em robots for a second.
Right. Nothing landing too hard, but I mean enough to distract you.
Now I'll tell you what, Fabio, last time, this is the same place they started. He did a much better job this time of transitioning into side control. And at this point, Burns needs to get his arm off around that as Don Richards is yelling, "Von flew." Damien can't hear him, and Chris is a little high on the side of the cage for it to happen.
Well, Damien did cut about 25 pounds for this fight. Whether he did it over a period of time or the last minute, it may be what's affecting him tonight.
He's young and immortal. He did it over the last week.
Yeah.
10 seconds. We're going to go to round 3, and these guys are going to need walkers as this fight continues.
Oh, he's a good timing, though, because we didn't have those 3 points down for that up kick.
Yeah, barely able to get that off in time. All right, we've gone through 2 rounds, Kara. How do you score the fight?
Oh, my gosh. It's so even to me that whereas Chris got the beginning a little bit, he landed some of those overhand rights.
Yeah, Fabio, for me, was the busier fighter, but the shots that Chris's that landed were very, very solid shots. They were big, heavy shots. But I don't think we're going to get out of a 3rd round.
You know, it's hard sometimes, I think, as a judge, when you're seeing 3 minutes and maybe there's action in the first 30 by one fighter, and then it's just like that, a stalemate for the rest. They're busy, but not doing anything in there. You know, and hopefully get them to take some deep breaths to come out, fill up those lungs, and be able to throw down.
Both of these fighters breathing through wide open mouths. They look absolutely exhausted. You know, and the temperature inside the Coliseum here a little higher, a little hotter than we're used to.
Yeah.
So this is like doing an outdoor show in 90-degree weather right now. These guys.
It is like that. It's complete. I remember I had to fight in Nevada one time. It was 110, and it was an outdoor fight. And I thought, come on. I thought I was in a sauna still trying to make weight.
I was complaining about being in a suit coat, and those guys are in there fighting.
Yeah.
Whoa, nice straight left, absolutely.
And that's what you want to do. Always lead with that straight left. Pop the guy's chin up and try and land.
He's
no defense
doesn't push himself out, though.
Yeah. No defense, just straight offense.
Well, he's trying to end it with one shot. And I'll tell you what, Fabio D'Agostino is showing at this point that he can take a punch.
Massive knee up the middle hitting Fabio. But you know what? Chris doing a good job. If he could have found a few angles in that barrage of punches, I think he would have been able to clean up Fabio there.
You know, for a guy who's doing so well on the ground, use that to transition to the takedown. These guys are just so exhausted right now. It would have been an ugly, ugly takedown, that's for sure.
This is the perfect time to have a sport with timeouts. Timeout, please.
Can I get a 20-second, please?
Right.
Darren Cruikshank slapping the hand of Fabio D'Agostino off the cage there.
Chris trying to catch his breath after throwing all those bunches of punches, Steve.
Yeah, he landed some clean.
He sure did.
I really like that straight left. That's about the 18th knee right up the center that he's thrown. Not much on him, but he is catching Fabio right on the protective gear there.
You know, Fabio hasn't been training for that long, but he has been involved in sports and athletics for so long. But you know what? You have to be prepared for the pace of the Canadians. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Canuck, but they know that you have to come in shape. And typically Canadians are in shape when they come to fight.
Well, right now, both of these guys need to start acting like the next 30 seconds determines the rest of their life, because this is it. I would not want to leave this in the hands of the judges. Somebody's going to be very disappointed.
And that's what the corner needs to say. There's no time for instructions, just motivation, because whoever can pull up that energy at the end is going to take it.
I'll tell you what, another real nice straight left setting up that exchange, but it slipped off to the side.
Good kick followed by the jab. And if he would have brought that right hand, I think he would have cleaned Chris's clock.
I'll tell you what, Fabio's wading right through those shots. You know, I thought this kid had a solid chin before this. Now I'm convinced of it.
Well, I mean, with 4-round slugs, if you can just wade through punches, you would definitely have to have a chin. Nice shot right down the middle. Unfortunately, he fell in and smothered his next shot. But, you know...
see Chris sliding off to the side there with those, almost like Fabio's slipping, but he's not. Chris is just missing the shot, missing the punches here.
You know, I think we're seeing Fabio dig deep here, and that's who's going to win the fight. You know, whoever can really dig for these last few seconds. You hear his corner yell 15, and that's all the motivation you need is just to let him go. Almost a headbutt there by Fabio just because he fell in.
10 seconds. This is going to go to the cards unless something really odd happens right here. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad I'm not a judge today, because this is a brutal decision. Somebody's got to lose, and there's arguments to be made that whoever you give this fight to is the wrong guy. A lot of heavy leather exchanging. I'll tell you the one thing that disappoints me about Chris, with as solid as he threw those shots, he's just not turning his hip over.
Lee!
And the Canadian edges it out, but not on all three cards. Fabio D'Agostino a little bit unhappy with the decision. And, you know, we talked about it before.